Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. I nearly forgot about this video, which I've been thinking about for a while. But yeah, it's about obviously recently, obviously the Queen passed away in the UK, and Trevor Sinclair, who I nearly keep calling Trevor Noah. So if I do say Trevor Noah, I actually mean Trevor Sinclair. Made a controversial tweet, saying that black and brown people should not mourn the Queen because of the history of colonialism, and he said something about slavery was banned in the 60s or something, or 70s, or whenever it was, or officially or whatever, but it still exists, so why should we mourn the Queen? And I know the timing of his tweet was not the best, but I was thinking, as people of colour, especially black and brown people, or people of colour generally, I think we should come to the defence of Trevor Sinclair. Again, I nearly call him Trevor Noah again. Again, if I do say Trevor Noah, I do mean Trevor Sinclair. But yeah, I think possibly maybe every Tuesday and Thursday, actually, of course, Saturday and Sunday, due to my alliterations. Sorry about my strange pants. But yeah, I thought I'd make videos about this if I think of more ideas. But I was thinking, like, have hashtags like hashtag we stand up for Trevor Sinclair, or hashtag stand with Trevor Sinclair, or please stand with Trevor Sinclair, because I like to be extra polite if I can. But yeah, so I was thinking, like, he should have the right to his opinion, and I can see where he's coming from. And I think a lot of people of colour, P.O.C, would think that. I know we should be respectful of people generally, especially, I mean, I think we should probably be more respectful of the living than those who have passed away, because they can't really feel it. But on behalf of their families, I think we should be respectful of, if they get to heaven or hell, they'll probably think of something else, but they have something else to think about. But to concern them with. But yeah, I do think we should be respectful of each other, and I'm sure Trevor Noah didn't mean it. Trevor Sinclair, I didn't mean it in such a way. But obviously, I mean, I think he's been banned from, like, TalkSport. For those who don't know, TalkSport is a radio show where they talk about, obviously, sport, hence the name TalkSport. And I think that we should, as people of colour, we should come to his defence and say that, hey, some of us do have doubts about whether the royal family still has racism. Like, if you look at the history, a lot of colonialism where people were killed, tortured, maimed, and all sorts of terrible things happened to them, it was done under the royal family, or on behalf of the royal family. Like Benjamin Zephaniah, whose family comes from the Caribbean, or who's a staunch Republican as well, stated, that some of his family members had limbs amputated because they wouldn't stand for the anthem and things like that, and that was sanctioned by the royal family. Hence why a lot of people of colour, P.O.C, people of colour, as I put in speech marks for some reason, are anti-royalists. As human beings, I wish them well, the royal family, but I am a Republican. I do support republics. I would love to finance Republic. I would love to support them financially as much as possible, in other words. I mean, and that's probably what finance means. But yeah, sometimes when you say finance, you mean actually to control people by giving them finance, but then tell them what to do. But I mean, I would actually love to just fundraise to support republics. I would even sacrifice my own income, because actually, I'm not that materialistic. So most of my money would be going towards things like, from a selfish point of view, Italian football. But from less selfish point of view, things like Celtic, who also come from the oppressed people and things like that. So anyway, I probably won't go into a full list of things I would support, but most of my money, as I say, I would give away much of it to, some of it to selfish stuff like Italian football, but most of it to, or only Italian football really would be the only selfish thing I think that I would support. Most of the things would be selfless, or at least less selfish. My one concession to Italian football, even though they had an empire and all that kind of thing, is to support them in football, as well as some other European countries, which I like as well. Anyway, I've probably gone way off track, but yeah, I think that people of colour, black and brown people, if you like, or even Far Eastern people, or Asians will often be brown, should support and stand with Trevor Noah, Trevor Sinclair, and Trevor Noah. Maybe Trevor Noah himself should as well. Yeah, I suppose by brown, Trevor Sinclair probably means mixed race people. I think he is mixed race. He's part Irish, I believe, according to Wikipedia. Anyway, yeah, and with regards to Celtic, on the subject of Celtic, I was going to say maybe Celtic could give him a role at the club, and he could get involved in, like, coaching the youth, or things like that, helping the club. So I'd love for him to, like, invest in academies in Celtic and be involved, and the club could perhaps look at ways to work with him where he could benefit from the club by having, as he's being cancelled and things like that, maybe he could be part of the club, Celtic, so that they can, like, say, not sure how much money they could invest in like giving him a coaching role, or maybe even if it's voluntarily and he has enough money in his bank account, maybe he could do that voluntarily or with very little money to have, where they wouldn't have to pay him a huge amount, and they could work together towards a mutual benefit where they help each other, possibly financially or whatever. But with his mental health, they could give him a role for something to do. I was going to say a role for something to do, a role at the club, like as a coach, coaching the youth, as an ambassador, and things like that. And even talk about the anti-racism that work the club does and the foundation and things like that, and supporting young people around the world through education and things like that, training and education in areas like S.T.E.M, especially like Native Americans and groups like that. And also, I mentioned Native Americans because this month I wish to work with supporting Native Americans, ideas to support Native Americans, but yeah, even parts of Africa and Asia and places like that. But yeah, so he would benefit from having something to do. Maybe even the club could help him financially as well, if like they pay him a certain amount of money for his coaching, because he does have that experience and he can coach the youth. But maybe also he could put his own money into supporting things like the academy, like setting up his own academy, like the Trevor Sinclair Academy for Celtic. And I love, on that note, for people on the subject of Celtic, to like fans of Celtic to donate, even like especially famous fans or fans with money, but even fans who don't have a huge amount of money could donate. 10% might be a bit too much, but they could donate an amount they're comfortable with. It could even be just £10 a year. But if millions of fans do that, that could be a lot of money towards developing academies, and maybe you could like have a coaching role at the academies, and like the club could give him a purpose, and like while other people were cancelling him, the club could help him with his mental health as well and all that kind of thing. And he could be involved in coaching, as I say, and maybe even set up his own academies around the world, not just in Glasgow, but around the world, including in developing countries in parts of Asia and Africa, and for Native Americans and other communities, for Indigenous people around the world, for including developing countries, what I call the six, which I mentioned before. So that could be his role, so hopefully it'll be a mutual benefit. It'll help him with his mental health problems, and maybe again the club could compensate him financially for his time. But maybe again he could put in his own money into developing the academy and building up supporters clubs around the world, including, as I say, what I call the six, especially Indigenous people and people of colour, again across parts of Africa, Australasia, Indigenous Australasians, the Americas, Indigenous people in the Americas, especially Asia as well, helping Celtic to have academies in those communities, in Ireland and Scotland and across Scotland, including Glasgow as well, added to that. And yeah, I think that covers everything, and Latin America as well. But yeah, so I can't think of much else to say, and the video did go on a bit longer than I thought. I'd love to hear what you think, especially people of colour. And do you disagree with or agree with what Trevor Sinclair said, or anything in this video, or anything you want to say, even if you disagree with me, or even if you think that his tweets were disrespectful, and you feel that the TalkSport were right to cancel him, or at least maybe they could have just given him a warning, but maybe they've suspended him. But I hope they give him opportunities in the future, and maybe to explain himself, explain his position, or things like that. And I don't think he should be fired. If anything, he should probably be a bit reprimanded a tiny bit, and told maybe the timing of his tweet was wrong, or to blame all the royal family, or even if racism is outlawed, obviously, even if you make it illegal, it doesn't mean everyone is going to be on board. Obviously, people who break the law are still going to be prejudiced. I don't think you can legislate for that. So maybe some people disagree with Trevor Sinclair. Maybe Trevor Noah himself could get involved in supporting him, since I mentioned Trevor Noah, and he could also have foundation support Celtic with the foundation, work with the Celtic Foundation as well, Trevor Noah and Trevor Sinclair and other Trevors around the world, especially those of colour, or people of colour generally. Anyway, sorry if I'm waffling, and I am out. Peace and love.